definitions corresponding to types of solutions you get for a linear programming problem. Okay, so when you solve a linear programming problem, you will get a solution, right? But that solution may not be the best solution which you are looking for, right? When we even saw the graphical method, there were many solutions we were getting where the solution was having a value, that z had a value, but it was not the maximum value which you are looking for, right? So we had to check around and see which was the largest value. Okay, so with regard to this, there are a couple of definitions. Let us do those definitions. Okay, so terminology for types of solutions for a LPP. Okay, so a solution in general. So when you talk of a solution to a problem, you are talking about the final answer which you get of the problem, right? So when you are solving a linear programming problem, what do? We try to find the values of x1, x2, x3 up till xn. Okay, so far we have done only x1, x2, but we can extend it up till xn, right? Okay, so now when you solve the problem, you will get a solution like this. And how do we solve the problem? We were given a system of equations, inequalities, which to convert them into equations, right? Okay, and after converting them to an equation, which to solve that system of equations. Okay, so that solution will be a solution, but it may not be the solution which you are looking for. Okay, so that's why we have to do a little more analysis of that solution. Okay, so we try to classify the solutions now. So the first kind is a feasible solution. It's a solution for which all the constraints are satisfied, that is functional constraints as well as the non-negative constraints. So functional constraints are those inequalities, right? And non-negative constraints say that xi should be greater or equal to 0. Okay, and this is called a feasible solution. The negative of that is actually an infeasible solution. So a solution for which at least one of the constraints is violated is called a infeasible solution. Okay, so basically at least one of the decision variables do not satisfy the non-negative constraints. Okay, so when you solve the system of equations, right, when you solve your system of equations, you get a point, the value of the point, but that point is a negative point. Okay, but we want only positive solutions to a problem, right? Positive valued xi values, but you might get a negative values. Okay, so last semester you have seen how to solve system of equations, right? Okay, so when you are solving those system of equations, there is no guarantee the answer will be positive. It might turn out to be negative, right? So when you get a negative solution to that system of equations, it becomes an infeasible solution. It is a solution, but it is not what we want. We wanted a positive one. Infeasible means it's not useful. Okay, we'll see examples on this one later. Optimum solution or optimal solution, anyone you can use. So feasible solution for which has the most favorable value of the objective function is called the optimal solution. Okay, so we had the objective function over there. We were either trying to maximize the objective function or minimize it, right? So the solution which gives you the largest value or the smallest value will be called the optimal solution. Okay, in case of maximization problem, the most favorable value is the largest value because you are looking for the largest possible value for z. In case of minimization, you are looking at the smallest possible value of z. Okay, so up till here everything is clear. What is feasible, infeasible? Okay, now a little technical part starts, that is with regard to basic solution. Okay, so now you had seen this case last semester when we were solving a system of equations, right? So if you have m equations and n variables where the n is greater than m, what will happen? Which case arises? If the number of variables is more than the number of equations, what happens? There's nothing written there. What happens when you have more variables than the number of equations? How do you proceed? We'll get infinite solutions, that at least all are sure, no? No. Okay, if your number of variables are more than the number of equations, you get infinite solutions. How do you find the solutions? I did this now last semester. Otherwise, what I'm doing this semester will be somewhere else here. So I don't remember that. How do you find the remainder infinitely many solutions? Well, and extra variables, right? Say you had only two equations in three variables. What is to do to that x3 over there? x1, x2, x3 is going to be there. So what do you do to that x3? You used to put x3 is equal to alpha or something, no? No, you might have used some other thing. x3 is equal to k or something was done, no? You can go and check later. You have to put the extra variables as some alphabet, okay, as a constant, right? Right now? So that extra variable was put as a constant, and for different values of that constant, you used to get a new solution, right? Because the moment you put that extra variable as a constant, what do you have remaining with you? You have two equations in two variables, and that you will try to find a unique solution to that case if it exists, okay? So that unique solution plus an arbitrary value of k gives you an infinitely many solutions for different values of k. Okay? Yeah. So now coming over here, given a system of n simultaneous linear equations with n decision variables or n variables, where n is greater when the number of variables is more than the number of equations, right? A solution is obtained by setting the extra variables. So how many variables are extra now? N minus m, right? Because m equations here. So n minus m variables are extra. So the extra variables, what we do is we put all of them as 0. See, when you were solving the problems last semester, you will put some value k, alpha, whatever, right? But now we'll put a specific value of k or alpha as 0. Okay, k can be anything you had learned, right? So now I'm putting only a specific value that is called 0, right? So these extra variables, I'm putting them equal to 0, and what remains with me is m equations in m variables, right? So I'll try to solve those equations and hoping that I'll get a unique solution now. Okay? So, yeah, since I'm not putting arbitrary values of k also now, okay, that k value has been fixed as 0, you will get a unique solution, assuming that m by m sub matrix which is there over there is a, what do you call that, a full rank matrix or the invertible matrix. Okay, we'll see examples on this, then you'll realize that. Okay, yeah, so the solution obtained by solving the remaining m equations in m variables is called a basic solution. Okay, had you seen the word basis last semester? Okay, so basis is actually a linearly independent generator of a set. Anyways, I'll explain to you later what is the basis. Okay, and the corresponding m variables which are not marked as 0, they are called the basic variables, and the remaining n minus m variables, okay, which you had given 0 value, are called the non-basic variables. It might be possible that one of these n variables which you solved and you got, they also have the value 0. It might be possible. Okay, but the rest of them n minus m, they are surely 0, that I know. Okay, what do you mean by basic feasible solution? As the name suggests, the feasible solution which is also basic is called a basic feasible solution. That means all the basic variables assume non-negative values. Okay, basic solution will be there, but that solution may not be feasible, right? It becomes feasible only if the x1, x2, x3 up till xm values are greater than equal to 0. Okay, if any one of the basic variables assumes the value 0, then the basic feasible solution is called as a degenerate basic feasible solution. Otherwise, it's called as a non-degenerate basic feasible solution. Okay, degenerate, I think so. You'll have not heard, no, till now. Okay, well, we'll see this in geometry course later on. I won't get into the details because it will require some extra explanation. But just take for granted that whenever you have a zero in a system, that means it is degenerate. Okay, zero is one of the solutions. Okay, next is optimum basic feasible solution. A basic feasible solution which also optimizes is called as a optimizes the objective function value of the given LPP is called as the optimum basic feasible solution. Okay, so it is basic solution, it is feasible, and it is optimum. So it's optimum basic feasible solution. Okay, now for the remaining definitions. Okay, so next is unbounded solution, a solution which can increase or decrease infinitely from the value of the objective function of a LPP is called as a unbounded solution. This we had seen last time when we had unbounded solution was coming when, I think so we don't have the picture now with us, right? Okay, we don't have that picture, but remember when we had that unbounded region over there, we could have increased the value of, we could have chosen points in such a way that the value of z becomes larger and larger, right? So that we could have done. So for every value of z, we were getting better and better solutions, right? So the solution is unbounded because you're getting better and better solutions as you move ahead. Okay. So consider, now let me write the LPP in a standard form for the next two definitions. So consider the LPP, maximize z is equal to C transpose x is equal to and subject to the conditions Ax is equal to B and xi values are greater than 0. I have written this in a matrix form. Okay. And we had defined a matrix from last class, right? Yeah, matrix form was done, no? Right? So this is the standard standard form given in the matrix notation, you can say. Okay. So associated cost vector, let xp be a basic feasible solution to the problem, to the LPP. Basic feasible solution to the LPP, that is xb is equal to xb1, xb2 up till xbn, where xbi is the basic variables. Okay. Then the cost vector, so how do I get the basic solution, basic feasible solution? I had a full solution, I had a full set of n variables. I have to set some n minus n variables as 0, right? And I have the remaining n minus n variables, sorry, the remaining m variables over there as the basic variables, right? So the cost associated with each of these basic variables, that will give you a cost vector CB. Okay, so for every basic feasible solution XB, I can find a corresponding cost vector CB, which is nothing but the cost of the variables which are in the basic solution. Okay, so if your basic solution is made up of x1, x3, x4, then the cost vector will consist of C1, C3, C4. Okay, and the remaining values are not considered. Okay. Yeah, so the cost vector CB, which corresponds to the CB cost vector CB1 dot up till CBN, is called as the cost vector associated with the basic feasible solution XB, where XBI, where CBI is the component of the cost vector C1, C2, C3 up till Cn. So I had an original vector C1, C2, C3 up till Cn. I will be taking only the values of Ci's which are there in the basis, whose variables are in the basic feasible solution. Okay, corresponding to the basic variable XBI. Okay, so the value of the objective function for the basic feasible solution xb is given by z is equal to cb transpose into xb. Okay. So next is improved basic feasible solution. Let xb and xb hat be two basic feasible solutions. Okay, let if possible you have two basic feasible solutions to a problem. Then we say that xb hat is a improved basic feasible solution if the value of z increases. Okay, since this was a maximization problem, I'm referring this in terms of this. Okay, with respect to this I'm talking about. Yeah, so since you have a maximization problem, the solution is improved if the value of the z, the value of the objective function z is increased. Okay, so if cb hat transpose into xb hat is greater than cb transpose into xb, then z value will be correspondingly bigger and hence you get a better optimal value. Okay, so that's why we call it an improved basic feasible solution, because it increases the value of the optimization function. Clear? And cb is the vector made up of the cost components of c corresponding to the basic variables xb hat. Okay, so let us work out a couple of problems here.